the Rangers Journal now.
Hello and welcome to the Rangers Journal. This is the weekly news pod where we go over everything that's happened in the Rangers world in the last week. Today I'm with Cammy. How are you getting on today, mate?
It's Friday, slightly tired after a late one last night. So just looking forward to getting work finished and just try and relax and enjoy the weekend. But aye, a lot to talk about as ever.
There is. We'll rip the band-aid off. Now, Scotty did do a post-match reaction last night, which I encourage anyone to go and to listen back to because they go over the game in more detail than we will. We'll just kind of give a kind of reaction, reflections on it today, Cammy. But you mentioned something to me just before we came on, like if you cut your own throat, you're not going to survive against better oppositions, and we contrived to do that a bit last night, didn't we?
100%. I think Rangers' success at home, particularly in the Europa League, the run to Seville, was starting games well, and I think scoring early. We had opportunities in the early part of the game. Not saying that would have guaranteed 3 points or even a point at the end of the day, but it gets you off to a good start. It keeps the crowd's energy high, and we didn't take the opportunities that came along, and we then give poor goals away. Basically, it's so that's what I mean. I've said many times, you need to be good in both boxes, and we weren't good enough in both boxes last night against a team that were pretty clinical, and I think it could have been more than 4, to be perfectly honest with you, if they had properly put their foot to the floor in the last sort of 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. When missing Van Vossen like misses, you just know within the next couple of minutes something's going to happen at the other end, didn't you? I could see it coming, and it's exactly what did happen. We miss and we're punished almost instantly for it, for slack defending.
I mean, he knows himself. I mean, I didn't have a great night's sleep, and you've watched the highlights when you've came in after the game, for which is never a great idea. But he knows himself that he's made a howler. You've just got to get out on target. I mean, I think Super Ali says that in the commentary. He's just got to get out on target. It doesn't have to be a perfect, but at this level, you have to take your opportunities when you get them. And what happened was, for those of us that are a bit older, and you can see, I'm not saying you can forecast the future, but you just know what's around the corner when you don't take your opportunities. And they had some fine players in the final third, and some real quality and real pace. And allied to our poor defence, I think all of the back four, I don't think anybody covered themselves in glory, and obviously in front of them wasn't brilliant either. But we just, to go one down, 10 minutes into the game after such a bright start, was hugely disappointing.
It's a wee bit of a reoccurring theme, especially in the bigger games, that they're starting well and then getting a setback in the first 10-15 minutes and then kind of reverting into a kind of shell. But we obviously got a goal back pretty quick, but it didn't count for much after that. But what I was worried about going forward is, in these big games, something goes wrong quicker than maybe we'd hope, and we don't really recover from it. Don't know if you feel the same.
It's funny because I do hold that opinion, but we did react, and I think you said that we reacted quickly with a nice finish from Tom Lawrence. He obviously took a sore one in the sort of to put it into the back of the net. So you've got yourself back into the game, but it never felt as though we had a foothold in the game. It felt like they could, every time they went forward, they looked really, really dangerous. And then we cut our own throats with a with a terrible goal. And then I'm sitting talking to the boys next to me, and I'm like, see if we can just get in at half time at 2-1.
Mhm.
But then the third goal just before half time, that kills the
Kills the whole tie, isn't it? Yep.
it was like somebody bursting a balloon. The atmosphere hadn't been. I don't think it'd been a proper Rangers European night per atmosphere. But I think that drained any sort of hope that any of us had. That at 2-1, I thought, go in at half time. If you score the next goal,
Mhm.
we're the optimist, we might win this game 3-2. But going in at half time 3-1, it's you're totally up against it.
No, I agree with you, and it looked like it on the TV. I was just watching that was the atmosphere kind of gone. It wasn't the best, it didn't look a sellout to me. There was a lot of empty seats, which I'm sitting at home watching it, but I'm afraid I have to work late, so I wasn't going to be able to make it down anyway. But it's disappointing that we couldn't recreate the kind of the Ibrox nights of the Europa League run. But the manager said it during the week. The budget that they have, the Leon we've been told they hadn't been playing very well, but when you've got the likes of the quality that they've got, especially the forward line, I don't know if we can really compete or expect to compete when teams are being able to spend that amount of money. What do you feel?
I do get it, but I think the what I said about cutting your own throat, giving the ball away in dangerous areas, not taking care of the ball, defending like you should defend. I think there can be a disparity in budgets and what have you in quality, but I think Rangers teams have punched above their weight, particularly in Europe since Gerrard, and I think we've played against a lot of really good sides, and we've been well structured, and we've had a real game plan, and everybody's known their jobs and what have you. So yeah, it is a mitigating factor, but I don't think it doesn't mean that you can't do the basics of
Yeah.
defending.
Yep.
I think if you do the basics of defending and make it as hard as possible, close the spaces, don't give the ball away in dangerous areas, then you should be able to. You're not going to you're not going to go toe to toe with them. I think we tried to go toe to toe with them. That's for another podcast. Whether that was the right approach, and that's for another deep dive. But I think the budget disparities is there, but I think you can still be competitive, as we have shown on numerous occasions on Rangers European nights.
The night and day of that kind of scenario, mate, is going to Dortmund and going toe to toe with them and going man to man with them and coming away with one of our best, away European results in my memory at least. But it's difficult when you're playing. You can do that. You kind of do it every time, I guess, is my point. And last night just was, as I say, the opposite side of that coin. Two things I wanted to talk about, or two players I wanted to talk about. Bayrami, first of all, I think played fantastic last night. He was the kind of shining light for me that we do have a really good player with him.
I mean, I think that's not where we signed him to play, but I think he's shown up really, really well. I thought that was his best game. I think he showed flashes of it, and I think that was the threat. Our main threat was coming down that left hand side. As much as I don't think Jeffrey had his best game of the season, I think him and Bajrami have struck up a good relationship this early. It all depends on who's available moving forward. I would love to see him playing centrally, but he's until more players are available in that wide area, I think we'll probably persist with Bajrami there, and he's playing really, really well, and he's got good feet, and just a clever. Doesn't have a great turny pace, but as a for what £4 million, I think £3.5, £4 million, he's settled in pretty quickly. So there is that was a positive, but you can't get a result in a game with only two or three players potentially pass marks. and I think that would be realistic across the players that played. I think there was 2 or 3, 2, 3, 4 at the very most done themselves justice.
And I don't want to pile on the captain, but I think Casemiro is the better option at the moment. He's not playing well enough for me to get an automatic start.
I think he knows it. I genuinely think he knows it, and it's with it. This is a Rangers news pod. It's not a dissect Tav's feelings and stuff like that. But I think he knows it himself. I think his brain maybe wants to do it, and his legs aren't allowing him to do it. He's not is able to get up and down, recovery pace, age and number of games. I think has just caught up with him, and he's 33, I think, shortly, approaching the end of his. And it's sad. It's actually quite sad that his Rangers career is approaching the end, and it's ending in this way. I found it quite a straight. I didn't think he was having a great night, but and the manager said he's played a lot of football. I think there's been other games where you could have gave him
off. Yep.
So the timing of it, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but with 30 minutes to go, it took me completely by surprise. But I think it'll be interesting to see who starts on Sunday night. But I think for his own good, I think it might do him a bit of good just to get taken out of the firing line for the next couple of games. And the big Nana Casa, whatever we're calling him, he looks decent on what we've seen so far.
In our chat, I woke up to several hundred messages, I think, this morning. But Doug made a good point about we persisted with Al McGregor for 2 seasons too long. And there's an argument that we're doing the same with Tavernier. As you say, it's not a deep dive into Tav's performance, but just overall, it does seem like we're playing him for sentiment rather than, because he is the captain, rather than what he's actually given to the team at the moment. So you don't need to comment anymore unless you want to, but I was just
I think spot on. I was coming back for the game, so I was managing to see a lot of the messages, and didn't wake up to probably as many as you this morning. But there is obvious parallels with regard to Alan McGregor, and Tav's probably one of our highest earners, and I'm not saying that. I think there's a lot's went on across the summer. I think Rangers probably tried to move him on, and there's obviously been discussions with regard to that. But I think the timing for Tav to end his Rangers career was the summer, and it's like a slow, painful death sort of feel to it at the moment, and it's for everything that he has contributed. It's a sad way to end his time with Rangers, because I think this season has to be his final season, whether he's under contract to 2026 or not. I think it is what it is.
Yeah. Where do you think it leaves us overall then in the group? We're 2 games in. Disappointing always to lose at home, obviously, but we do have some difficult games coming up. Now this not mythical, but 9-10 point target to get through to the next group stage, the next stage. Sorry, not on obviously in as great a position as we'd hope to be, but are you still hopeful for progression?
I think it's going to be tight, to be honest. I think winning in Malmo was vitally important, because as much as we got a bit of a shoeing last night, I didn't have a great deal of expectation. Playing against Lyon, just previous experience, playing against French sides, and Lyon in particular, they've always been a good outfit. The home games, cliche central, but the home games are always where you want to try and be strong. But we might actually get a bit more joy when we go to Nice and we go to Olympiacos. That it might tactical plan that we set up when we went to Malmo and we played against Kiev, we'll probably adopt a similar sort of approach. So the away games you might surprise yourself with you might nick a win in Nice or somewhere like that. So you're then looking at the next fixture as Steaua Bucharest, who have started off with 2 victories. So they're going to come to Ibrox in 20 days' time or something like that, 3 weeks' time, whatever it is. They're going to come wanting to continue that positive start. But I think it is going to be tight. We're certainly not going to be in the top 8 of the 24. So I think if we can be anywhere between 9 and 24, that's the whole dynamic of this new system. I think it's interesting just to see how you can go for 6th after the first round of fixtures to, I think, 19th or whatever it is this morning. But I think it's still going to be tight. It's a tough run of fixtures. But if you could win the next game, 6 points heading into a back-to-back away to Olympiacos is going to be difficult. Atmosphere, opposition, all that sort of. I think they won the Conference League or something last season as well. So I think it's going to be tight, Billy, to be honest. But losing last night doesn't kill it. If we'd won last night, it didn't guarantee anything.
Yeah.
But losing certainly doesn't kill it. We just have to try to bounce back with a victory on Sunday, and then deal with Europe when it comes along in a couple of weeks' time.
Now, I'm not want to be controversial here, or not deliberately, because we're probably going to be hit with a bunch of fines for the display last night. I loved the fireworks over the stadium. Obviously came from outside, I believe, but I love the flares. I love it takes me back to the 90s and watching the Italian football and stuff like that. But as I say, we're probably going to get hit with a fine. It doesn't look great when the smoke goes across the screen and you can't really see very much. But and I'm not asking, I'll not get you to comment on the Union Bears or whatever, but I think it's a nice touch. But
listen, it's part of modern football and what have you. And I think, see, if the fireworks had went off inside the stadium, then there's potential. That's a bit more potentially dangerous and what have you. But Ibrox needs a with it being clear, Ibrox needs a rocket. It's like it's obviously the dynamic has changed with regard to the Union Bears moving to CF3 in the summer, which is obviously the delay of the building works and what have you. And I think it's going to take time for the people that are round about them to get on board, if they do get on board, sort of situation. And I think the UB tried their best last night but as I said, the atmosphere was a bit flat, and I think what happened on the park. But I think we'll probably get hit with a hefty fine, which isn't ideal. But they're trying to add a bit of colour and a bit of just something a bit different, and see, as long as it's safe and it's not placing themselves or any other supporters in any sort of danger, I'm all for colour and tifos and all that sort of stuff. It's I might be old, but I can buy into some of the modern things that they're trying to introduce to. It's not just Rangers; it's across Europe. All these groups.
Well, we can move on to, I guess, another disappointing result, because the ladies were playing last night, strangely, at 6 o'clock at Broadwood. That was a bad decision in my opinion, because I've got girls, so that a game I could have maybe taken them along to if it'd been another night. But 2-0 up with 20 minutes to go, you were saying, Cammy, and they contrived to draw 2 each. So not great for them, and I don't think Joe Potter was very happy about it.
I've not caught up with the chats and stuff like that. I just, obviously, when I was coming back, I thought 2-0 up with 20 minutes to go. These are the games that you'll be judged at the end of the season against Glasgow City and against Celtic, and the games that will determine the league title. The timing of it is just ridiculous. It's, they try to promote the women's game, and you put it on at 6 o'clock, and at the same time that the first team are playing. Absolute nonsense. Sky Sports have obviously tried to fill a slot, but
Yeah.
where's the joined up thinking to try and put it at a time? Put it at an international break when there's no any men's football on. Try to maximise the crowd and all that sort of stuff, But I think it's disappointing. So I think but even that, you're 2-0 up with 20 minutes to go. I don't care whether it's men's football, women's football, boys football, whatever it is. You manage the game and you see it out, or you score a third goal. You shouldn't be allowing anybody back into get a point. So and Jo Potter, I'm sure she always speaks very, very well, but it's just a head scratcher, the timing and what have you. Because I know a lot of people that go along to these games and they couldn't cut themselves in two and go first half
Yeah.
at Broadwood and then come to Ibrox sort of thing. It just wasn't going to be feasible. So, but it's Scottish football for you, and in general, we make a lot of poor decisions to try and promote the game, whether that's the men's game or the women's game.
Cammy, you talked about joined up thinking. I'm not sure those running the Scottish game can even do joined up writing. So I'm not expecting too much from them when it comes to organising, a coherent set of fixtures that benefit the game as well as benefit the game as regards promoting it, but also benefiting the fans being able to attend. You could have had it on another night. Well, I guess I've lost Cammy, so I'll stop my moaning about the women's game. I'll see if I get them back. Let's see what else we're going to talk about. So other news this week was Ianis Hadji had managed to sort out his contract problems with the club. I'll bring Cammy back on. You're back, Cammy. Thanks very much. You gave me a heart attack here.
Don't know what happened there. You hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. I'd moved on. I just started talking about... No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just saying, but I'd moved on to mention about Ianis Hadji sorting out his contract situation with the club. For me, that's good news. I don't know how you feel about it. Can you hear me, Cammy?
Can't hear you, Billy. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry, folks.
Nah.
Don't normally have any... Anyway, the Ianis Hadji, cleared up his contract situation with the club. I did find it interesting that Clement had basically said it's not something that he was involved with, and that he had wanted, obviously, Hadji to be part of the squad. So he's welcomed him back. He's training with the first team again, which is great news for the first team. Cammy, can you hear me now, Cammy?
I can hear you. I don't know what's going on. You were talking about Ianis Hadji and obviously the contract situation.
Yep, I was just saying I'm happy with it. The manager was a wee bit of an awkward press conference, I feel, during the week where he was I think he got asked an awkward question whether he was the one that forced the two sides to meet and bash it all out. He said that was an internal thing for the club. He must have been involved in at least either way. Like, no, I'm never going to play him. Don't bother. Or I need him back in the squad. We need all we can get. So, are you happy that he's back?
I think it's obviously been an impasse with regard to the contract. It's went on for a while, and I think there's obviously been a lot of discussions going on. And I think I don't think the manager's been particularly impressed by the fact, and I think the more options that we have got, the better. To be honest, the more players that we have at our disposal, and Ianis Hadji does have quality. So I think any I'm pleased, but it's disappointing that it's taking so long.
Yeah, I feel the same, mate. I feel the same. There was a wee bit of a delay. I don't know. Can you just give me a thumbs up if you're hearing me now? I think it's still a bit of a delay, Cammy. Well, look, we're having technical problems, so we'll finish up because I kind of have a one-way conversation with myself. The only other news I think we're going to highlight this week was Dujon Sterling obviously signed a contract extension, so I'm pleased enough with it. It's a strange one. Jump in if you can, Cam, if you're hearing me. No, not hearing me. Look, guys, thank you very much for watching. I apologise for the technical problems today. We'll get Cammy back on and sort it for the next pod we're on. But thanks for watching, and just remember that every night's Rangers Journal night. Catch you again soon.